Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and since the weather was decent and this was my first training day of the week after my Saturday repeat, I thought I would get it for you guys on video. Now, as most of you know, I'm specializing in the deadlift right now, so I'm not putting a lot of focus on squats. I'm only squatting 5 days a week. I'm only really doing 1 or 2 heavy reps. I'm just ramping to a training max on them before I do my deadlifts every day. And for now, that should sustain me, and even though I'm cutting, strength is holding okay. I wasn't particularly happy with my squatting today. I just couldn't really get in my groove, so I recorded it anyways, but I just wasn't really happy. I mean, this 200 kilo one here looked good, but when I got to 210, it started getting a little sloppier, and when I hit 220 on the last single, it really was a lot sloppier than I'd like. It wasn't quite as deep as I would like. It would still easily meet legal, but I would have liked another inch of depth. And I would have liked to have stayed a little more upright, but right now with me doing 5 or 6 heavy deadlift singles 6 days a week, I just can't really put much more effort into my squats. My deadlifts are taking up most of my recovery ability for now, and the squats for at least a few weeks. All I can focus on is maintaining my strength. I just need to be able to maintain at least a 220 squat, which is happening, of course. Even this 210. This 210 here was really not ideal. It did feel a bit heavy. I wasn't 100% happy with it, but I wasn't really disappointed in it either. So it was fine. I mean, it went down okay. Actually, I got decent depth, a little more forward lean than I might like, but the 220 up next, I hit it, but it was a little more than a training max. This actually today was closer to a competition max than a training max. This didn't really feel light. This was heavy. It was a little sloppy. It was a little bit of a grinder. I like to be able to squat really fast, and if the bar slows on me, I'm not really happy with it. This looked a lot closer to what my squats look like at the British. A little bit of forward lean, a little bit of stick at the top. Not quite happy with it, but at least I'm maintaining strength while cutting and specializing in a massive amount of deadlift workload. So I'll take it for now. I'm losing weight and maintaining it while deadlift specializing. Up next on the bench press. Bench press was okay today. The first rep felt like a little bit of a grinder, and it felt like a tricep weakness really as I got near the top. I'm really strong off the chest even on these paused close grip presses. I feel like I've got a little bit of tricep weakness, and I haven't really been doing tricep work like I need to, so I threw in a set of Skullcrushers at the end, which I haven't been doing Skullcrushers in a while. I've been focusing on the overhead press, particularly the behind the neck press as my only bench accessory. And you'll notice, I mean, that was a little slow on the way up. I feel like I need a little bit of tricep strength. So some extra meat on my triceps wouldn't hurt at this point. Now this second one, this rep was actually quite good. I was really happy with this. It was just straightforward. It felt good. It felt light. I felt like I could have done multiple reps on this set. And remember, you guys are used to seeing me do rep work on the close grip. My worst rep on every set is always the first, it's always the weakest, so I'm doing nothing but first reps right now. Even though I could probably rep this out for sets, I lose so much energy on that eccentric rep that first reps are really difficult for me on all of my pressing, so I'm really focusing on just singles at this point. So even though I could have probably done that for 4 or 5 reps, you'll notice this third rep with that third slow eccentric and first rep is a little bit of a grinder. And again, it felt like a tricep weakness to me, which is unusual on a raw bench because I'm always fast off the chest because it's all I do is pause bench. It comes down, pause, it comes up quick, stalls right there, and then it locks out. So a little bit of tricep work needs to go into the mix at this point just to make sure my bench press doesn't really stall out on me as I start progressing again later. And then for the real work, the deadlifts. And I'm recording even my walk-up and everything on these again. I stepped these up to 230 today because that's what I did on Friday, and it felt good. So I feel like this is still working at 90% for a deficit because I feel like my max on these now is closer to 260 on the deficit pull. And until we can rep 260, actually I would really like to be able to hit at least 270 off of a deficit before I go back to pulling full range of motion. But with the push-pull meet coming up in late November, I might have to go back to full range of motion here in another few weeks, no matter whether I reach what I want or not. But very happy with these. All of these felt good. They all felt heavy. Every one of these felt pretty close to a training max, to be honest. These were really 90% because they weren't that fast, and particularly they wouldn't be fast if I was doing full range of motion. Deficit deadlifts are always slow, but I would have liked them to have been a little faster, so they were a fair amount of work, but I felt okay afterwards. I feel like it did impede my back a little bit. I didn't have much strength left for chin-ups at the end. But again, when you're deadlifting heavy 6 days a week, doing multiple singles every one of those days like I'm doing, that pretty much is your main workout. Everything else is pretty much an accessory at that point and takes a secondary emphasis. But if you want impressive glutes, this is how you get them. You don't need any silly glute gimmicks. You don't need glute bridges. You don't need hip thrusters or any of that bullshit or butt blasters. These heavy-ass deficit deadlifts will build up and tone and give you a rock-hard, solid ass that everybody will be admiring. This should be your go-to exercise. And then up next, my Pendlay Rows. These were just normal. I don't go that heavy on these. I don't try to. I try to do as much speed as possible on these. And since I've got a push-pull coming up, this is a valid accessory movement for both my deadlift and my bench press. So Pendlays are taking a role as a dominant accessory movement for me right now. I'm doing them up to 5 times per week. But I only do 3x3 when I come in to do them, and I focus on explosiveness with them. That's the reason I do these, is just trying to build more explosive speed. And that will translate over to my bench press stability and then more speed off the floor, hopefully, on my deadlift. And then we got to train them Tricepticons. I only did 1 set because, again, I am pressing up to 6 days a week. I can't come in and be beating up multiple sets of tricep iso. So 1 good work set, pretty much to failure, just grinding this shit out. I haven't done Skullcrushers like this in a little while. I thought I would be really weak. I was scared I was only going to be able to get a couple reps with 60 kilos because that's 2 full plates aside on an Olympic bar. But with a little bit of rest pause at the end, I was able to grind out 7. And they definitely left my triceps throbbing at the end. Around this 5th rep, my triceps were pretty well lit up, particularly after doing singles on close grip pressing. So they felt like they got the job done, and I really skipped out on doing any real delt work today or my behind the neck pressing. I'll focus a little heavier on that tomorrow. Today really needed to be about back work and really focusing on all my deadlift accessories. So I threw in 1 set of chin-ups at the end. And you know what, guys? I may just quit curling completely. I feel like at this point, curls aren't doing shit for me. Rows and chin-ups are what gave me 20-inch arms before. I've been doing 10 sets of curls a week for a couple years now since coming back to training, and my arms are still lagging. I really need to be focusing on chin-ups because I know in the past that's what built most of my meat. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.